Neil, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Keith.
Excited to talk to you because we're going to talk about Point Wild, which is it's a new brand because the company recently branded itself as Point Wild, and there's a whole portfolio of online security brands under the umbrella. So let's just launch into it. Talk about Point Wild.
Yeah, thanks. So Point Wild is essentially, like you say, a holding company operating a house of brands. The specific area that we're focused on is cybersecurity. So we have over 40 brands out there in the marketplace. Many of them are consumer-facing cybersecurity brands, and then we also operate brands in like a reseller segment, and then in the legal vertical as well.
So you talked about it's a big portfolio of different brands, but what's the background story? Like, how did this all come together?
Yeah, so I think you had to go back a few years, but the company came together through a series of different acquisitions and divestitures. And so when I started back in 2021, we were part of a company called Aura, which is now a separate company. And then, back in 2021, we separated out a lot of the operations and a lot of the brands into what was then called Pango Group, and would become Point Wild here in the last 6 months or so. And so we were looking at those businesses saying, okay, we have a great portfolio of consumer cybersecurity businesses, and we're going to continue to kind of grow that out. And we've done a few acquisitions along the way to expand our footprint in consumer cybersecurity. And then at the end of last year, we did a large merger with Total Security, and at that point was the time that we rebranded into Point Wild, basically.
Got it. Okay. Now you have a lot of products, so it'd probably take a long time to go through them all, but what would be some that you'd want to highlight?
Yeah, I mean, the largest brands we operate are on the consumer side, we operate Total AV, Total Security. We operate also Hotspot Shield is a well-known brand. And then on the business to business side, our brand is called Pango. So that is an area where we work with banks, insurance companies, and other security vendors who need additional security products for their customers. And they work with Pango. A lot of times we're kind of behind the scenes, so you don't see our brand as a consumer, but our partners, resellers, all know, Pango is providing a lot of the services out there in that marketplace. And then I think the other two brands that are out there are really focused around legal vertical, which is SciX and Simpluris. So SciX does a lot of the remediation after a data breach. So if you're a company that has a breach and you need to provide services to consumers post breach to help them retain their privacy or security, SciX does that on behalf of enterprises and as part of lawsuits and things like that. And then Simpluris is our company we acquired about a year ago, that does settlement administration. What that basically means is that when there's a large lawsuit, they make sure that the people who are supposed to get benefits from the lawsuit actually get those benefits.
Well, now that the new brand has been established, let's talk about the state of the company. Like what's the size of the company or whatever details you can share.
Yeah, right now we have just around 600 employees. We're continuing to grow, continuing to hire. The company's growing about 20% year over year. It's a very profitable business. We're doing about $600 million of top line revenue and, roughly 35-40% margin on the bottom line. So the company's healthy and growing. We're looking to expand both through, hiring and direct, as well as through, the potential acquisition of new companies down the line as well.
Yeah, and I think it's important for people to understand this is, a company at scale. So, what's it
Yeah.
like working there? What's the day-to-day culture like?
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, I've been working in cybersecurity for the better part of the last 17 years, and before that 10 years in healthcare. This is the most fun I've ever had working, and it's all because of the people who work here. It's a great group of folks. everybody's really focused on the mission of delivering these, top end cybersecurity features and products and helping keep consumers and small businesses safe out there online. And there's really a drive from the team to be the best and to continue to grow our footprint out there, both from a product and technology perspective, as well as how do we reach customers. Our goal is to be able to reach folks wherever they are, whether that's through, a partner channel reseller, whether they reach us directly, or even through legal verticals. We want to make sure we're where consumers are. And the team here is great and super committed to delivering against that.
Top tier talent, regardless of market conditions, they always have options for their career. So why is now the ideal time to join Point Wild?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an exciting time here. Like I said, we recently completed a merger at the end of last year that really expands our capabilities as well as our consumer footprint. So, we have a little over, well, almost, I should say, 10 million paid customers and, hundreds of millions of free users we've served throughout the history of the business. So, it's a really great opportunity for folks to get involved in something at an inflection point of growth. At the same time, the company is already at scale. So, the contributions that you're making are reaching a huge customer and consumer base and making an impact today, as well as setting things up for the future that, will continue to grow and expand.
Well, if you are interested in exploring opportunities at Point Wild, you need to go to their company page on VentureFizz, which has all their job listings there. Go to venturefizz.com/pointwild and you'll see their job listings. Neill, thanks so much for taking the time to walk us through all the great details of the company.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Keith.